All right, good evening, everybody. So, I wanted to do a little video on life as a legal aid attorney. And kind of prompted some of my colleagues sent me a wonderful gift package today. I'm just so appreciative. And so appreciative of my time in working in legal aid. And if you're new to my channel or what's going on, I'm dealing with a slight bit of a health issue right now, so maybe an understatement, but so I'm doing some videos just reflecting on things, and a big part of my life is being a lawyer at legal aid, and I wanted to share that, and hopefully it can be shared with others who might be considering a career in legal aid and what it's about, and hopefully it'll inspire you to continue to look into that and to do that, because it's been a wonderful career choice for me. I didn't start out that way, and I'll get into that a little bit. So pardon my I am a lawyer, not a videographer, for sure. And trial and error though, for sure. So I'm gonna set this down, and I usually on my videos I do a little thing called a watch check. So what I'm wearing tonight, and Seiko Ananta. This was a watch I wore often to work. As a legal aid lawyer, you may not be wearing Rolexes, but you don't need to. This is a better watch than a Rolex anyway. Seiko makes fantastic stuff. But the other cool thing you can do is you can be yourself. The legal aid, and part of being myself is I like wearing cowboy boots. And if you get classy ones, you can get away with it and wearing to court and outreach, and it kind of became a staple of mine. And it was kind of fun, so so I've kept that up. But it's just a really cool career, and you can do a lot of good things and help a lot of people. So I'm going to set this camera here. Hopefully it's somewhat focused. Now, a lot of my videos I smoke a cigar, and I'm not going to do that today out of respect for the legal aid profession. Maybe but you can smoke cigars too. So. But anyway, so let me talk a little bit about my career as a legal aid lawyer, and why I think if you're a law student or even a lawyer already, you ought to consider a legal aid career. It's really phenomenal. We go to law school thinking that we're going to make a difference in people's lives, and that you're going to have a career that not only can support yourself, but you can do some good too. And I can't imagine, I'm sure there are spots out there that you can do that in the legal field, but one of the best is as a legal aid organization, because really the people we serve are people that are in dire need of legal services, civil legal services. And I did some criminal work in my career, and I enjoyed that, the trial work. But civil side of things is really different, because unlike the criminal field, where you're entitled to court-appointed counsel if you can't afford it, that's not the case in the civil realm. And sometimes the civil consequences are even greater than criminal consequences, and you're not entitled to a lawyer. And our legal system is really set up to make it difficult on people who cannot afford a lawyer. And I'm proud to say that myself and the colleagues at Legal Aid, they're some of the best lawyers I know. I mean, we are really, really good at what we do. And there's a lot of reasons for that. There's a lot of great training and opportunity and mentoring. And you can really become a really good lawyer. And I think some clients, it's kind of you take it as part of your mission, right? Clients sometimes expect, if they're not paying for it, they think maybe you're not as good as somebody they can hire, and certainly they're free to hire an attorney they're choosing that they can afford. But 9 times out of 10, the lawyer they get at Legal Aid is probably going to be better than anybody they hire. It's just the way it is. Because the lawyers there take so much pride in their work. They go into the legal aid work because they want to that's their mission in life, right? And it can make a huge huge difference in people's lives. And so sometimes I chuckle when if people say that I want to hire a real lawyer or something like that, and that's fine. And I worked in private practice for some years, and I didn't really enjoy it that much. It was too much about the money, and no offense, but rich people they're more entitled, or they think they're more entitled, and so I struggled sometimes with that, and over my career I just felt that our lower income clients, legal aid were much more appreciative, and I could make a bigger difference in their lives than I could in private practice. But again, nothing wrong with those that do private practice. It's very needed, and certainly can make a difference in people's lives there, but that's a whole nother subject. So why legal aid? There's a multitude of reasons. Number one, it can provide you with a lucrative enough career that you can do fine. I came out. I've been at legal aid now going on 17 years, and I make a pretty decent living. I'm the kind of person who I spend what I make, right? So I adjust, right? And there were times in private practice where I did make more and could have made more, but it's not all about the money. You don't go to law school for the money, right? You go to law school to get a career, and you don't necessarily want to be destitute, and you won't be destitute at legal aid. A lot of opportunities. I came in as a staff attorney, and I moved into management pretty quickly, and the managers do well. We got great benefits. I'm on health leave right now, and that's one of the great benefits we have. You can have a quality of life. Take it from me, everything I'm going through, it's life is short, and you don't want to spend all your life in the office, right? You want to enjoy life, enjoy your family, travel, and you can do that, as a legal aid lawyer. You can have a life. It's a reasonable work hours. Some of my staff might quabble with that, but but really it is. It's a really nice setup, and I think the people that run it, we have a great executive director. We've got a great finance staff, and they make it work, and good benefits. If you're coming out with student loans, I had a lot of student loans coming out of law school. There's loan forgiveness programs. There's other programs. I made the mistake, unfortunately, of consolidating my loans, because when I went to law school, interest rates were much higher, and so I had pretty high student loan payments, and when I had a chance I consolidated, but that kind of knocked me out of the student loan forgiveness. I didn't follow through as I should have, but in any event, those are opportunities that you can get your loans paid, if you do public interest work. So the other interesting thing about becoming a legal aid lawyer is that you got to make smart career choices and do it when you can. Now in my situation, I was blessed to really be given an opportunity to do it. But some people will come out of law school and they'll take the highest paying job that they can get, and they'll say, well, I'll work there for a couple of years, make some money, and then maybe I'll do a career move and switch to more public interest law. And you could do that, but the problem is that you may have that higher salary, and it's going to be hard to adjust to take a lower paying job later. And I had a unique opportunity to do that, because when I came out, my first job was at a child support agency. I wanted to get into court right away. I wanted to get that experience, and that gave me that. And it didn't pay a whole lot, but I was able to move up and move into other organizations. But ultimately, I took a job at a firm and did well. That it was lucrative. I felt I was good at it, but it wasn't really that personally fulfilling. The guys were great. I made some great friends and got great experience, but I really wasn't fulfilled with sort of representing, the business clients or the clients with money. And so I started volunteering at a nonprofit that served lower income folks, and started doing some pro bono work for them. And I really liked it, and that kind of led me on this sort of spiritual journey where I ultimately decided to leave that firm and join the Jesuits and go on a journey with them. And the guys at the firm thought I was crazy. I was on partnership track. I was making good money, and but it just didn't feel where I was called to be. And so I had this opportunity to do almost 2 years with the Jesuits to learn both some spirituality, and then they put me to work right away as a lawyer in a homeless shelter in Cleveland, and I did some work in Detroit, University of Detroit Mercy, and that work really inspired me. And I ultimately left the Jesuits before my sort of 2-year, what they call a novitiate. But when I spoke to my spiritual director, he said, "You're cut out to be a legal aid lawyer," and I appreciate that advice, and it was true. But I didn't have a job lined up as a legal aid lawyer, but there was one available, and I took it, and I've been there ever since, and it's been a godsend. Now, what I will say is I don't think I could have done it if I would have gone from private practice and wanted to adjust to legal aid. The pay cut would have been too much. So luckily for me, when I left to go to the Jesuits, it was a very meager pay. It wasn't really even a pay. It was like $30 a month, but it was everything. Expenses were taken care of. You lived in community, and student loans were paid. But it gave me an opportunity to sort of leave private practice, explore the idea of being a Jesuit, and then ultimately I decided taking vows was not for me. But as my spiritual director said, go be a legal aid lawyer, and the cards fell into place, and that's what I did. And so I was able to, when you go from $30 a month to a legal aid salary, then that's a big raise. So it worked out. That's kind of how I was able to do it. But if you're in law school or you get out and you're going to take a high-paying job, it may be tough to do that transition later unless you have some kind of crazy diversion like I did. So when I first came to legal aid, it was awesome. I great staff in the Canton, Ohio office, and I was able to use the skill set that I'd acquired both from child support days and in private practice to really begin to help people right away. They had what was called a brief services unit, and that was basically giving some counsel and advice, maybe a little bit of document drafting. It was cases that the team, the practice groups, didn't necessarily take those cases. They came through our what we call our helpline, but the clients needed a little more than just a short phone call of advice. They needed some more help, and so it was real flexible. My first manager, Darlene, was so awesome. I ended up taking all kinds of cases, and our legal aid covered 8 counties, so it was pretty vast, and I think I took cases in all 8 counties. And whenever it was a case that if nobody else was going to take, and I could do it, I would do it. So it was a great experience. It was a never dull moment. And for a while there, I was, I think, taking probably too many extended services cases, as we call them, cases that require court representation. But there's limited resources at legal aid, right? There's only so much staff to go around, and so there's always opportunities. And so I took those opportunities and took on cases, and that was really fun. It was exciting, and again, the training, it's hard. A legal aid lawyer's job is kind of tough because you do cover a wide variety of legal subject areas. There's specialties in family law and helping victims of domestic abuse. There's housing, keeping people from losing, the roof over their head, whether it be a foreclosure or an eviction. There's consumer work, trying to help people the working poor, who are trying to get a foothold on life and maybe get some debt relief. And there's a wide variety of other, expansive things that we've done, but those are kind of the core. So when I had that job as a brief services attorney, I really enjoyed it, but an opportunity came up to go into management and manage our helpline attorneys, and that was a great opportunity for me. I had actually been a manager before in the child support agency. I moved up, so being able to convert to become a manager was I don't know if I'd say it came natural, but it, I was able to do it, and so there's opportunities for growth in legal aid, right? You come out, you might have opportunities, and I think our managers do a great job. I'm just going to check my recording here to see how we're doing. So it claims we're still recording. So, but the idea of getting into management was cool. Another opportunity to grow, and we had some good times there setting up sort of our helpline, and that was just kind of almost like cold calls. People would call in. We have a great screening staff that sort of screens for legal issues, and then we would pass it on to a rotation of attorneys. And another opportunity, there's part-time attorneys, there's pro bono attorneys that can help volunteer and fill the gap and fill the need, and those are things that that we did on the helpline. And then I was able to transition and do more court work, which I really like to do, and so I had the opportunity to become the manager of our family law team, and it's such a vital, important role. Family law is, probably many of you know, right? It's so emotionally trying, and it's very costly, and particularly people who are in an abusive relationship are very vulnerable, right? The legal system can be used against them, and often abusive spouses or significant others, if they've got money, they will make it very difficult on that person, threaten them with custody battles and those things that they can't afford. But legal aid lawyers take those on, and we have some of the best family law attorneys anywhere. The only problem is, of course, there's much more work than there is resources to cover that, and so those attorneys are often stressed and overloaded with cases because it is what it is, and but it was a great opportunity for me to kind of manage that team of really good lawyers, and then I could manage, I could take cases myself, we could try to have impact. Another wonderful benefit is you develop these relationships with community partners, and so we developed relationships with a lot of the shelters that helped victims, survivors, and you just really felt part of the community. You felt like you were doing good, and one of my favorite short stories, I'll keep it short, was that I was representing a victim of domestic abuse, and in talking to her, I realized that my sister had actually helped her. My sister was a guidance counselor in a school, and this client knew my sister. My sister, she said, was very instrumental in her life, getting her through a hard time in school. And here I am, years down the road, I'm helping her at legal aid, get out of an abusive relationship, and so it was really, really cool to do that. So that, again, it's spread. There was an opportunity after that to manage a whole different unit, and it was a unit I wasn't that familiar with. It was housing and foreclosure, but we had a couple of managers who had left, and the executive director came to me and said, we think you can take it on. I said, well, I don't know this area of law very well. It's certainly not an expert at that, but you can learn it. There's a lot of opportunities. And so I was able to do that, and the deal was that they allowed me to switch offices to the local office where I was living at the time, and so it cut down on the commute, and I got to be more engaged in that office, and that was really cool. So that worked out, and the attorneys did a great job, sort of getting me up to speed on what I needed to know, and so I continued doing that for a while, running that team, and eventually different times in my career at Legal Aid, I managed almost all different substantive units. For a short time, I was managing the consumer team, even though I didn't know a whole lot about consumer, but I had great lawyers. And then what we call our reentry or criminal records program, we were able to expand that to help people, again, get out from underneath. If they have some bad history, there's opportunities for them to get taken care of, to get a clean slate and do something better with their life. And so I was able to take on that, and I was there during COVID, and that was a challenge because we all went from working in the office to working at home, and we worked from home for about 2 years, and so I was able to be instrumental in sort of setting up how we did that. Never heard of this thing called Zoom, and we started doing Zoom, and we had outreach, we had ways to stay connected to staff, and again, Legal Aid was still able to make a huge impact on our community because people were facing evictions during COVID, and it was just crazy, and we were able to tie in with our local United Ways and get rental assistance and keep people housed, during a real tough time, and I think maybe slow some of the spread of the pandemic too. So, a wide variety of career options that I was able to take part in. And then after COVID, my boss was doing such a great job running the organization. He gave me an opportunity. He said, "Hey, if you want to try something else, let me know." And we had this, what we called our neighborhood law project. And that was just working in the communities, in the neighborhoods, and empowering people to make a difference, in their community, work with groups. A large part of that became sort of helping those that were forming tenant organizations to do that so they could empower themselves to negotiate against bad landlords or housing conditions that were extremely cruel and difficult for them and their children. And so we were able to make a difference, I think, and help a lot of people in that situation just through that neighborhood law project. And it continues today, and it's really been expansive, and it's really about having impact. Litigation opportunities, lots of those in legal aid. You can do as much as you're willing to work, and we were able to do that. And you get the craziest cases, at legal aid. One of my proudest cases, not revealing client confidentialities, but, it was a senior citizen, and she'd been defrauded by these guys who actually got her to sign the deed to her house over to them. And, it was a scam. I think they'd done it before. And by the time we got the case, she was facing eviction, being evicted out of her own house that she owned until she signed it over to these guys. And it was just a case you had to jump in right away because she was facing eviction. And so in that case, I was able to jump in, get the eviction stopped, and get involved in an action to get title back, to her house. And I got to play the role of a private investigator, kind of hunting down these guys and people they did it before, that they had victimized before. And I found some of those folks and brought them into court. And actually convinced these fraudsters to sign the deed back to her. And so she got her house back. And we actually had to go to the Court of Appeals to stop this thing, because it was on a fast track. So we were able to be successful at the Court of Appeals, get a remand on a summary judgment that shouldn't have been granted, and get her back and get her back housed. And so it was a proud moment, and so there was multiple pieces of litigation there, and then you can make a difference too. We were involved in appellate cases that have an impact going forward on the rent escrow process and housing and family law matters. And so just the opportunities are almost endless, as a legal aid attorney, and the personal fulfillment is so great. I mean, what else can you say if you're happy? I mean, I'm not going to say we didn't have stressful days, right? We do as lawyers, but it's you feel that you're making a difference, and you got the support of really good colleagues, and the training, and you meet other legal aiders, and it's just a great legal community. How do you get paid? Legal Aid's a nonprofit. They get a variety of sources, including donations. So any of you are inclined, feel free to reach out to your local legal aid. You can always use the money, because that money goes to help staff and help keep good staff, because we gotta be able to recruit and retain lawyers. Racial justice is a huge part of legal aid work. I was able to go out to a training with the Shriver Institute on racial justice. Really changed my career, my focus, and looking at some of the systemic racism that's in our legal system, and that really impacted how I looked at the work afterwards. And so we do try to be an agent for change, for injustice, and you can do that at Legal Aid, and still make a good living. I've got so many great friends and colleagues from my time there. I really can't say enough about that opportunity. And if you're in law school, volunteer, there's opportunities. You can kind of see what it's like. And our summer associates, they get great experience. And I think that's just a great way to try it and see if it's a fit for you, So I don't know. That's my plug for my fellow legal aiders. It is mission work, whether you're religious or you're not religious, doesn't matter, but it's a calling, right? I got a book in my office about the lawyer's calling, and you can really fulfill that there. And you don't have to be perfect, none of us are. We all struggle in our career. We make good decisions, we make bad decisions, but having the support of a team behind you that's all in it for the same reason is really priceless. So I hope that you got something out of this, and I want to thank all my colleagues for being so supportive of me during this trying time of my health situation. They've been nothing but wonderful, made great friends, and I know the work is in good hands, and they'll carry on, and they'll continue to do the work, right? The quote on one of our coffee cups is, we bend the arc of the moral universe towards justice. And I think Martin Luther King, maybe that came from him, but it's true, right? That's the best you can do is to make some difference, and certainly at Legal Aid you can do that. So everybody have a good night, and I think I'm going to have my cigar now, so you can edit that part out, but I won't smoke on here. But enjoy the evening, and thanks for taking the time to watch the video.